Hey, what's up, YouTube? Well, it's me again, and we are within 48 hours of March, which I never thought I would look so forward to as I have this year. But with all the icy cold weather that we had in February, I'm really looking forward to spring. Okay, and I've actually celebrated a little early, by changing my Fitbit band to aquamarine blue and wearing my turquoise blue sunglasses. Um, and I'm also carrying a light blue purse so that I can get into the spirit of it. But what I'd like to talk about in this video is something a little different. And I've been promising myself I would make this video, and I just never got around to doing it because I found so many other things to talk about. But what I would like to discuss today, is just a very simple video about the moon and what causes the phases of the moon. And I briefly talked about it when I was at my mom's house in January, using the cat toy as a demonstration. But I have something better this time. And the reason I'm thinking about it is because we have a full moon, but you can't see it due to the clouds in the sky. And that's another thing. I've never hated cloudy skies so much as now that I have my telescope. Okay, it's like we have a full moon, but the closest I could get to a picture of it was last night when it was around 98%. Okay, and so basically I had this little thing that represents the moon. And what I was trying to explain at my mom's house, let's see, this is a little thing you put in a pumpkin. This is going to be the moon, okay? So, basically at all times, half of the moon is lit up, meaning it's getting sunlight, and half of it isn't. Okay, when you have a full moon, basically this side is facing the earth, completely. The far side of the moon is not lit up and the near side is. Okay, so there's a 180-degree angle. Okay, when there's a new moon, there's like a 0-degree angle, meaning the far side of the moon is getting all the light. Quarter moons, well, it's 90 degrees. And gibbous just means that it's obtuse, it's in between half and full, and crescent is in between new moon and quarter moon, or half moon. They call it first and last quarter. So basically, the angle between the sun and moon, I'll turn this off now, determines how much light is coming from the moon, being seen by Earth. Okay? And so that's always been fascinating. I mean, you could pretty much use any ball, that's half black and half whatever color to represent the moon. So I'm sure there's other things I could have used that would have been better. But I just wish someone would have explained that to me. That, it's just, you see, the Earth is what's moving. The moon, just orbits the Earth, during a month's time, like 4 weeks or a little over 4 weeks. See, that's another thing I wish someone would have told me, because maybe I wouldn't have gotten so worried, when I used to think I had long menstrual cycles, because it was almost never 28 days. It was usually a little more than 28 days. Well, a lunar month is more like 29 and a half days. So I was thinking it was exactly 4 weeks. So I guess I was more normal than I thought I was. But thankfully, I don't have to deal with that anymore, praise God. So the moon is always half lit. Half of the moon is always getting sunlight and half the moon isn't, okay? No matter what time of the day, no matter what time of the month. But what determines, whether you have a full moon, a new moon, or something in between is the angle. It's where it's orbiting the Earth. So basically, when it's orbiting, straight overhead at midnight, well, that's your full moon. And when it would be straight overhead at noon, well, that would be the new moon. And of course, that's why, the first and last quarter are straight overhead at 6 a.m. or p.m., roughly. So yeah, when it's a gibbous moon, it's orbiting over the night side of the Earth. When it's crescent, it's over the day side of the Earth, which is why it's ironic that the crescent moon is the symbol for nighttime, because that's actually the moon that spends more time out in the day than the night. So basically, and I don't know, I guess maybe at a subconscious level I did understand this. But it's just a very simple thing. And it just amazes me the more I think about it. Just like I taught myself, the clock angle thing, which is pretty much obsolete now that everyone uses digital. I used to impress people with knowing basically the angle between the hands at any given time of the day based on mental calculation. And I thought that was pretty impressive for a girl, but no one really did. Okay, same thing with the lunar cycle. It basically, it just never ceases to amaze me. And I just wish I'd gotten into it, years ago and gotten my telescope when I was a lot younger and lived in a house, instead of an apartment where everybody wonders, what's the matter with you that you have your telescope out looking at the moon. So, basically, it all depends on the angle between the sun and the moon. That is what determines the lunar phase. So, basically the new moon just means that it's right smack dab in the middle of the daytime side of the Earth, and therefore it's blocking the sun. Or, the shadow is what's facing the Earth, which is why you don't see the moon. And the full moon is, the one that is pretty much only out at night. You see, there's also a direct correlation between the amount of light given off by the moon and the amount of time it spends out only at night. So, when it's like a quarter moon, meaning a half moon, well, it spends about half its time out at night and half its time out in the day. So the smaller the moon, the more time it spends out in the daylight. So, that's why it's just totally ironic, that they use that little crescent moon symbol for nighttime, because that kind of a moon is only out for a little while at night. Whether it's the young moon that sets very early in the evening, or the old moon that rises just before dawn, like a little ahead of the sun. So, the closer it is to the sun, the less light it gives off. And what's also very interesting is that if you could live on the moon, like if they could have a building and someone could actually stay like right smack dab in the middle of the near side of the moon, well, what you would notice if you spent a month on the moon, or let's say they put a rover, instead of putting Perseverance on Mars, let's say they put it on the moon. Well, let's just say you had something, just taking pictures of the Earth from the moon. Well, what you would notice is that throughout the month, the Earth would look like the reverse of the moon, basically. So the part that's missing out of the moon is basically the shape of the Earth. So when you would have like a crescent moon, well, you would have a gibbous Earth, and vice versa. So like if it was a full moon and you could be on the moon, you would see a dark Earth. And if it's a new moon, you would see the Earth lit up, because it would be the daytime side of the Earth. So, the new moon is orbiting over the daytime side, and the full moon is orbiting over the nighttime side. And you would actually see the Earth rotate, unlike the moon, it's sort of locked in one position. Well, the Earth, you would actually like see, it would gradually spin, and it wouldn't rise or set. If you were on the moon, you would just always see some percentage of the Earth. And it would be like the reverse. It would be like the part that's missing out of the moon. So, if the moon is like a quarter or half moon, well, the Earth would be the same. But if the moon was a crescent, then the Earth would be like this, the gibbous part. And then when you have a gibbous moon, the Earth would be the crescent part. And so on. So it's just very interesting to me. And I just wish that I had gotten into the moon, many years ago. But it's never too late to learn.